Alright, so uh, this is the second study session that I did, and this is the review session of that second one. So, in that second study session, I studied for like around 3 hours, a little bit better than my first one. So, in that session, I completed studying a couple of things. So, in the previous session, I was at the brachius plexus, but now I started in the second section. In this session, I started from the brachius plexus. I completed this, and then I moved towards the back of the body, and I studied the anatomy of the back and also the anatomy of the scapular region up until the intramuscular spaces. So yeah, this from brachius plexus up till intermuscular spaces of the scapular region. So I completed this much. So let's see. So let's talk about the brachius plexus. I'm going to go through it really fast because, well, that's how it should be, I guess, and my computer cannot process long videos, so I have to make this quick. So this is the brachius plexus, and what you can see on this diagram is that it is a diagram showing the nerve from the spinal cord. This is showing a spinal nerve. So this one is the dorsal one, and this one is the ventral horn. This is the dorsal horn. This is the ventral horn, and the upper one has the sensory fibers, and the lower one has the motor fibers. But as you can see at this point, these two fibers merge together, and so this whole thing, so let me do this in red. So this whole thing is a mixed nerve, and this is also a mixed nerve, because at this point the sensory and motor nerve combine to make a mixed nerve. So these both of these branches, this orange branches, have sensory and motor nerves. So this is the dorsal branch, this is the ventral one. So the brachial plexus is one of the most important. Plexus is basically a collection of nerves, so it is an important collection of nerve in your arm region, in your upper limb. So the nerves from brachius plexus originate from the ventral branch of the mixed nerve. So this dorsal branch, this branch, the nerve, like this branch, the nerves are not derived from this branch. Only this branch, the nerves are derived. So the brachial plexus nerves are only derived from the ventral mixed nerve from the spinal cord. So this is a kind of complicated diagram of the brachius plexus. The brachius plexus has lots of branches in it. So the plexus primarily starts from C5 to T1 spinal, like like those vertebrates, like C5 is cervical 5 up till thoracic 1 vertebrate. So these are the nerves from that join together to form spinal brachial plexus. So these nerves give branches, and they combine together to form trunks, and then trunk also divides, and like these divisions combine to form divisions. They further divide to make cords, and then finally they give branches. And these branches, they go and supply to specific muscles in your arm region. So that's the brachial plexus. This is an important diagram. You need to like thoroughly remember what nerves are from which branch. So, talking about the clinical anatomy of the brachial plexus. So, clinical anatomy of the brachial plexus, like one of the like important forms of paralysis is called Erb's paralysis. So, this is the type of paralysis that is related to the brachial plexus. What basically happens is, like it's shown in this diagram. I'll show it here. So, so at this region that I've like circled in like th- at this region there is an injury at this region in the brachial plexus. So this nerve at this point is damaged. So this whole lower part, which originates from this point, like the muscles that are supplied by this whole lower part do not get nerve supply, so they stop functioning. So that causes paralysis when that part of the nerve is when this part of the nerve is damaged. So that paralysis called Ehlers paralysis. And the clinical symptom is that the patient cannot raise his or hands and arms above the shoulder region, and above like the shoulder region, like they cannot put both of their hands up towards the sky. So that's not possible, and their hands are like this when they are not moving. So their like hand is like facing backwards because of the muscles are not able to function properly. This is a symptom. So now let's go towards the back. So in this chapter we talk about the back region of your body. So these are some of the structures that are important. So yeah, this is the 12th rib. This is the scapula or your shoulder bone. uh, this is the back of your scalp, like your skull. This point, external occipital protuberance, is the point that separates your skull from your neck. So this is an important point here, and a couple of bones here. So yeah, so this diagram. Wait a second. So yeah, so this diagram shows again the spinal nerve. So this part, the lower branch, this lower branch gives branches to the intercostal nerves, whereas the like the cutaneous branches, or the branches of the nerve that supply the back of your skin. So your back is supplied by the dorsal branches. So the front of your chest region and your stomach region is supplied by this part, whereas the back, like your back and your the whole of the back is supplied by the dorsal branch. So the ventral branch supplies the anterior region, and your posterior back is supplied by the dorsal branch. So that's basically what this figure is trying to show. So the back has some four, like couple of important muscles. So all of these muscles, most of them originate from the spinal cord, not spinal cord, vertebral column to be exact. So important muscles are trapezius, and then rhomboid is also an important muscle of the back, and latissimus dorsi is also another important muscle. So this muscle is very interesting because this muscle connects the thorax. So as you can see, this muscle connects the thorax, the upper part, to the lower part. So the lower limb is connected with the thorax by only this muscle in your body, latissimus dorsi. And trapezius is the biggest muscle of your back. It covers a lot it overlaps a lot of these muscles. So and the trapezius and rhomboid muscles are um, like these muscles are they originate from the thoracic, the for vertebral column, and they insert into the scapula. So they originate at your vertebral column, and they go and they get inserted into your shoulder bone. So this is also an important, like an interesting picture of showing like how muscles work in combination in your body. So if you were to raise your arm above 90 degree in your, like if you want to raise your arm above 90 degree, so there are two important muscles acting together. One is trapezius, which we showed here. This is the like I'll show it in. So this is the trapezius muscle. So this muscle is the trapezius muscle. So one is trapezius and the other one is serratus anterior, which we discussed in previous chapter. So these two muscles work together. Like if you were to do this, this is your normal position, and if you were to like raise your arm, then these two muscles will have to move your shoulder bone upwards. Like if the shoulder bone or the scapula rotates when you raise your arm, so these two muscles work together. Like the trapezius muscles pull the trapezius muscle pulls the scapula this side, like upward, and whereas from the from the inferior angle, the serratus anterior pulls it. so in this side. So these two are working together and they produce a kind of a torque, and the scapula rotates upwards. So the scapula rotates, your shoulder bone rotates upward by the action of these two muscles. So these are important muscles. So now let's talk about the shoulder region. So we completed on the back. We complete till now. We completed the brachial plexus, the scapula, and the back of the body. And now we are going to talk about the scapula. So the scapula, or the this chapter deals with the scapula, like the shoulder bone. So these are some of the surface landmarks in the shoulder bone. There are a couple of muscles important in your shoulder region. So supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres major, teres minor are the important muscles of the shoulder bone. So these muscles, like what happens is that these muscles, so this is your shoulder bone and this is your humerus or your arm bone. So these all of these muscles, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, they originate in the shoulder bone, the scapula, and these muscles originate here and they insert into your humerus, particularly the tubercles of the humerus. So, like generalizing stuff. While generalizing stuff, you can basically say that these like muscles of the shoulder region originate at the scapula and terminate or insert into the humerus. So this diagram shows like how these muscles originate. This is basically a cross section of your axilla region. So this is your scapula, and these are the muscles that I mentioned: teres major, teres minor, pectoralis major. So these muscles originate at the scapula or your shoulder. They actually originate here, and they go, and as you can see, they go and insert into the humerus, as I mentioned earlier. So all of these muscles originate here and end here. And like the deltoid muscle is also an important muscle of your body. So this also originates at the shoulder and ends at the humerus or your arm. It joins somewhere below. That's why it's not been shown like joint, because it joins not at this level but somewhere below it. So these are the nerves around the humerus, and the way that deltoid muscle protects these nerves and blood vessels. So it's an important. So the last thing that we studied was acromion process. So the last thing that we studied was about this subacromial brusa. Brusa. So brusa, I don't know how to pronounce it. Brusa, or like whatever it's called, brusa, are like interesting stuff. Like these are those things in your body. These are basically cushions in your body. So this is basically a cushion in your body. So as you can see, like uh, as you can see, this is a bone. So this is the acromion process of the scapula, and this is the humerus. So there is a high chance that these two bones, while you are moving your arm, these two bones may like collide with each other, and there is friction between these two bones. And we don't want friction between bones, because that is painful and that degrades the bone. So this subacromial brusa basically acts as a cushion between these two bones, so that while you are moving, this acts as a lubricate or a cushion between these two bones, so that they don't cause friction between each other. So it is a very important part of your body. So these are basically, this green thing is your ligament that surrounds the humerus. So as you can see, this is the transverse section, this is the lateral section through it. So as you can see, this is the acromion process as shown here, and this is your humerus as shown here in the lateral view. So the acromion, and this is the brusa, subacromial brusa as shown here. So as this muscle, like as you raise your arm, suppose you raised your arm upwards, so this muscle is bound to go backward and upward. like the head of the humerus will go this side. So if there was no subacromial brusa, then this head of the humerus will collide with the acromion process of your shoulder blade, and it will cause friction. But since there is a subacromial brusa, you can comfortably raise your arm without any friction or pain. So this is an important thing. So that's basically it. Again, I've summarized it a lot. There's a lot of like there are lots of more detail in it. So this is like a super summary of everything that we studied. So we started at the brachius plexus, nerves of the brachius plexus branches. We went to the back region, and we studied all the muscles of the back, the nerves and the muscles of the back, the bones of the back, and then we also studied about the muscles and bones of the shoulder region. Yeah, so that's pretty